Hello guys, my name is Gauri Bandre. I'm an intern at LEXIS and Company, and my topic for today's discussion is sexual harassment at workplace. So in today's topic, we are going to cover what is sexual harassment, what does it consist of, how can one lodge complaint in the case of sexual harassment at the workplaces, and Sexual Harassment Act of 2013, also the structure and function of internal committee, etc. So let's begin. Sexual harassment is a widespread problem not only in India but all over the world. According to WHO census, 1 out of 3 women faces sexual harassment by either their partner or non-partner. It involves a range of victims and behavioral aspect. Sexual harassment is something which you can't explain but only experience. So let's see what is sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is an unwelcome behavior, either physical, written, or oral, which makes a person feel humiliated, intimidated, or offended in some or the other way. After the landmark judgment of Vishaka and others versus State of Rajasthan in 1997, there were certain guidelines known as Vishaka guidelines which were laid down by the Supreme Court, which addressed what will consist of sexual harassment at workplace and what won't, which eventually resulted into Sexual Harassment at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act of 2013. Sexual harassment consists of many things like actual or attempted rape or sexual assault by a person, unwanted deliberate touching, leaning over, cornering or pinching someone, teasing, jokes, remarks or questions, whistling at someone, kissing an employee, clothing, hair or body, kissing sounds, holding or smacking lips, touching or rubbing oneself sexually around other persons. So before Vishaka scenario, women had to take matters of sexual harassment cases to lodge a complaint under section 354 and 509 of IPC. After Vishaka guidelines, there were a set of rules which were laid down by the Supreme Court, which were mandatory to be followed in every public and private sector, was to make an internal committee. So if a private or public sector consists of more than 10 employees, then it was mandatory for that company or organization to form an internal complaint committee, which was known before and now it is known as internal committee, which will address these issues regarding sexual harassment at workplaces. So if in case a woman faces sexual harassment at her workplace, then she don't need to go and lodge complaint physically in a police station, but she can do it through the internal committee. The significance of it was to make a woman feel safer, to promote gender equality and to create employment, to encourage women to get on fields and to work alongside with the men. So let us now see what does the Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act of 2013 says, what is the scope of it, how can one lodge complaint through this act, and who qualifies under this act. So for the scope, the act covers a large domain of public as well as private sector, school, colleges, places of visit and transportation during the course of employment. So for an example, if I'm working as a saleswoman and my company is providing a vehicle for me to travel from one place to other in the course of my employment, of course, during this course, if I face any sexual harassment or mental or physical in that case, then I can lodge complaint under this act. More, it also covers the army men or armed forces. So now the question comes, who qualifies under this act? First is employed in an organization. So anybody who is employed under an organization does qualify under this act. Next is client, customer, daily wage earner, student or research scholar in an educational institution, patient in an hospital, employed in unorganized sector. So unorganized sector means any maid or helper who comes at one place is also qualified under this act. We all know under this act there is an internal committee which is established to address these issues. So in this internal committee, there are some mandatory things which are needed to be followed to organize this whole structure of internal committee, in which a head should be a senior level woman employee. Second, at least 2 experienced candidate who should have an experience working under such similar circumstances or relating to any women issues. Third, it should consist of an external committee or external member, which will consist of any social worker or an NGO employee. And second, during the inquiry of such harassment case, there should be a notice which should be put up in the office board while the inquiry is being set up. Third, the committee should consist of half of the women employees. Case where the main employee is the culprit, the district magistrate should establish a panel consisting of social workers and NGO employees. So, what is the process of filing a sexual harassment case? First, the complaint should be written and should be filed within 3 months of the incident. Second, in case of any mental or physical incapacity, any of her employee or the person who has knowledge of such act, an officer of NCW, that is National Commission of Women, or State Commission of Women, can also file a complaint of the aggravated woman. Third, during the course of inquiry by the internal committee, the complainant has the right to ask for leave of 3 months or can ask for transfer of the respondent or either herself. So the inquiry must not last more than 90 days. So post Vishakha guidelines, there were many initiatives which were given out, which consist of preventive steps, criminal proceedings, disciplinary actions and complaint mechanism by which one can address sexual harassment at workplaces. I'd like to conclude by saying that sexual harassment at workplace or anywhere is not something which we need to normalize as a human being. If you see or witness somebody harassing someone, or you yourself are victim of such act, you should raise a voice against it and act, because this will only give the harasser chance for encouraging his behavior. Thank you. If you like this video, do subscribe to this channel and hit the like button.